My friends, it is great to be with you today again on this Monday morning. Just to remind you that these are actually filmed on Thursday, and Kevin is behind the camera. He's one of our staff and working with development is doing terrific work filming these real live moments in our Back Bay Mission community. I want to share, I think we're living in some incredibly challenging times again. And really exciting times. I find the last, probably the last 4 years, but especially the last year and a half to be really challenging, but really exciting on positive levels, right? That I think one of the positive things right now, at least we can see the light on the end of the tunnel with the pandemic, and potentially we're closing in, right? We're hoping for herd immunity, which seems a bit questionable because of the Johnson & Johnson being on hold, but we keep hoping for that. And a couple of weeks ago, I just want to share this. I'm not sure I did or not, but Coastal Health was here, which is an organization that actually Back Bay Mission gave birth to some years ago that work with people experiencing homelessness and with people that are living in poverty. To provide health services. They were here on our campus with their mobile unit, giving vaccine to our unsheltered friends. For me, that was some hope, right? And it was exciting that we were actually vaccinating our homeless friends. One of our case managers and interns, myself, we joined together with our homeless friends in solidarity to take the vaccine with them. I find that exciting and challenging right now, and I'm also hearing the news cycle with the trial of Derek Chauvin, right, at the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. And then on the 11th day of the trial, Dante Wright is shot and killed by a police officer. And that is, for me, that's incredibly painful. Being an advocate of the Black community, the Latinx community, of communities of color, and realizing how far we may have come, but how yet far we have to go in changing the systems and changing perceptions, and working with police departments and educating them, and really working with us as people in America and educating us on the systems and how deep racism and poverty and all those systems are really in our communities and in our nation. And then last week, I believe it was, I talked about how we politicize absolutely everything. And everything's on the right or the left, or it's black or it's white, or it's in or it's out. And for me, all of the issues that we're dealing with right now, the ones that I've just listed that are exciting and yet challenging, are really about our shared humanity and identifying our shared humanity, because that's really what we're about at Back Bay Mission here, is helping us see the unsheltered as us, and we are the unsheltered, to help us see people that are living in poverty as us, because we're in this together. Chardin says, and he was a philosopher and a spiritualist, said we are spiritual beings on a human journey. And I want to say that again, that we are spiritual beings on a human journey. And he says not the other way around, that to our core we are spiritual, and to our core we really have this nature to love others, to show mercy and kindness, and to realize that we're in this one fabric of humanity together. One of our staff sent me an amazing quote just the other day, and it's from NASCAR, and it's entitled "A Martyr Meets the World to Solve the Hard Problem of Inhumanity." And I'd like to share this quote with you, and I quote, "Indifference is silent, so is realization. But the difference between the two is that the silence of indifference sustains a life of complacency, whereas the silence of realization pours into your veins such courage that you no longer are able to maintain indifference of any sort wherever and whenever you see injustice and discrimination. You leap in revolution. You leap with a strong conviction of equality and humanness, you leap in an act of revolution. So having said those words, I want to talk about leaping into action and leaping into revolution. And I want to reflect back on Saturday evening. I sat with a group of 14 people. 2 were servers, 12 around the table, and an incredible meal with a group of people from Ocean Springs, where I currently rent and live, just over the bridge from Biloxi. It was our first small dinner fundraiser for Back Bay Mission. It was held at the home of Sarah, whose French name beguiles me because I'm still learning how to speak French here. And we had a wonderful conversation around this quote. What is a weed? A weed is a plant whose virtues have not yet been discovered. What is a weed? A weed is a plant whose virtues have not yet been discovered. And it's by Ralph Waldo Emerson, that I'm sure you've all heard of. And what I found was this group of people, this small group of people, we had a moment of equality and humanness, where we sensed within ourselves this desire to leap into an act of revolution, right? Where we saw injustice and discrimination, especially around unsheltered people. It was really an opportunity to come together at this meal, to have an incredible meal, but to have even more than that, a meal of words. A deep, rich conversation that was a safe place to have an open dialogue where every voice was heard, every perspective was valued. And we all have different experiences. I grew up very differently than you. You grew up very differently than me. We had different family systems. But we all grew up in this one culture and this one system, at least if we were born and raised here in the United States, that doesn't necessarily value people that are unsheltered. And to be honest, doesn't value weeds, right? That beautiful quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. We don't value weeds. And we see unsheltered people, in a sense, we see them as weeds, as unwanted. We think that homeless people or unsheltered people or unemployed people, well, just pull themselves up by their bootstraps, right? And they'll be just fine, because we all live together in this land of opportunity. Well, I can assure you, and I experienced this myself as a youth, but for many, many of our folks that have been homeless for any length of time, it's nearly impossible without a compassionate and merciful hand out and hand up to really be pulled up by their bootstraps, because they often have no boots and no straps. So Sarah has such great passion, the hostess for our meal that night, around unsheltered people, around Back Bay Mission, and we talked about homelessness in Ocean Springs. We talked about homelessness on the coast of Mississippi. And we talked about how to transform their lives through the work that we do here at Back Bay Mission and through each one of our own individual lives. And the most beautiful awareness was to hear people kind of go around the table and talk about how they've interacted with people who are experiencing homelessness, and how they've shared a moment, a smile, a hello, a conversation, food, picking up food at McDonald's and giving them a sack of food as they leave the McDonald's. And those are beautiful, rich moments. And we came to the conclusion that these people are not weeds, because they are us and we are them. And in fact, we discovered that weeds have an incredible purpose in life. If you think of after a fire, after a natural disaster, the weeds are the first things that pop up, right? They're there to steady the soil. They're there to stabilize the soil. And the weed has an incredible importance. Well, today, for kind of my second level, I want to talk about what's happening this coming Thursday. It's Earth Day 2021, and the theme for Earth Day is Restore Our Earth. And I think about that on the level of people, but I also think about that on the level of this planet upon which we walk, right? I spent the summer, a few summers ago, on the Lakota Reservation, Pine Ridge, South Dakota, assisting in a youth suicide prevention program. And this was a Lakota prayer that was given to me that I'd like to share. And the prayer goes like this: treat the earth well. It was not given to you by your parents. It was not loaned to you by your children. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. Wow. We borrow it from our children. Treat this earth well. We are borrowing this earth from our children and from future generations. And I'd like you to take some time over the course of this week, since it is a celebration of Earth and it is Earth Day, is to take some time and Google these two words, environmental justice. Environmental justice. I'm not really going to share much about environmental justice with you, but I'd like you to Google it. Often those who are poor, who are living in poverty, live near or on land that is toxic, that floods, that's undesirable land, or they live in cheap housing near toxic dumps. A few years ago, I did some action in Mexico where American and German automakers were dumping toxicity from their plants in Mexico into the drinking resource water. And we had to speak on behalf of the people of Mexico. And it's such a well-documented fact that communities of color and low-income communities are disproportionately affected by polluting industries, tax regulations for these industries that oftentimes don't pay taxes. So take a look at environmental justice. Consider it. And I'm hoping that as you celebrate Earth Day this week, that you keep in mind that we are all called to walk gently upon this earth, that you remember our homeless friends who oftentimes find their home on this earth, in this planet, under trees. Take time to recycle. Take time to reuse. Take the bus or transportation or light rail if you live in a city with light rail. Take it more often. Take public transportation. Bicycle, walk when you can. But really be a voice for the voiceless, but also be a voice for the earth and for those of us who live off of the earth, because we all honestly live off of this earth. It provides our food. It provides our shelter. It provides our air. It provides absolutely everything that we need, and is a gift from Creator. So I'd like to close with this 3-step morning prayer in the Lakota tradition for this Earth Week. And Lakota say, here's the first step. Plant your feet firmly on the earth. Using your 5 senses, give thanks to Creator for the countless ways Creator comes to us through earth. For all the beauty that your eyes see, for all the sounds that your ears hear, for all the scents that you smell, the taste that you taste, for all that you feel, the sun, the wind, the rain, the snow, the warmth, the cold. Pray this day that you may be opened and attuned to the countless ways Creator comes to us through your senses, through the gift of earth. And the second step, according to the Lakota tradition, is let go of all the pain, the struggle, the regret, the failures, the garbage of yesterday. Step out of it. Leave it behind. Brush the dust of it from your feet. And the third step, with this third and final step, the Lakota encourage us to step into the gift of the new day, full of hope, full of promise and potential. Give thanks for the gift of this new day which Creator has made. May it be so for you today. May it be so for me today. May it be so for all of us here at Back Bay Mission and beyond. So have an awesome week and celebrate Earth Day. Thank you.